I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
A lot of things to talk about. We'll start with yesterday. A lot of buzz for a British purse bid, but it never went there. So, all kind of a bit of a mess. How do you dissect what happened yesterday?
I think Frazer Clarke wants to fight Fabio Wardley. I think Sky and Boxer want the fight to be on Sky because of what they've invested in Frazer Clarke. And I don't think with it going to purse bids that you can guarantee it's going to be on Sky. So they've pulled him out of that because they don't want to risk it going over to DAZN. And it's disappointing, it's a shame, it doesn't really go with what we've heard about promoters working together and all of that kind of stuff. And it's Frazer that I'm absolutely gutted for because he's going to get stick for it. You know what boxing's like, boxing Twitter in particular, like someone takes one false step and they get all sorts of stick, and he is getting it, unfortunately, and he doesn't deserve to because he's a fighter that wants to fight. So I do feel for him. I mean, generally I think it's just it's a case of they couldn't guarantee the fight was going to end up on Sky. They couldn't guarantee they were going to back him enough to win the purse bid, and they've kind of pulled him out of there. And I mean, Matchroom have come out of it looking fantastic. You know, they've turned up to the gunfight, and the other guys didn't.
Yeah, in terms of Frazer, like you said, I know you tweeted about kind of people shouldn't direct too much hate towards Frazer, but I know Fabio's said this, it's not the days of promoter power. Surely there's a bit of power inside the fighter where they can just go, I know it's perhaps not as easy as this to go, you know what, screw you, I want that fight and I need that fight.
I guess it's what they're being told. Obviously, it sounds like they've sat him down and they've talked to him. You've got to remember this probably comes down to money a little bit as well and budget. And I think Ben Shalom he's gone on record saying he's not got the biggest budget out of the promoters in the UK. Out of that, he's paid a lot to sign the likes of Frazer Clarke, Ben Whittaker. I'd imagine to get Lawrence Okoli, to get Buatsi, things like this. It all costs money, and he's probably gone to to his sort of budget and looked at winning a purse bid against Matchroom DAZN, who are really backing Fabio Wardley, and thought maybe I'm not going to win this one. So he's had to do what's best for him. It's not ideal, especially when Frazer Clarke's next fight's against this Henry Armstrong fella, who's a legend of the sport himself, Henry Armstrong. But I thought he was dead. But no, fair play. He's got to crack on. He's got to get his head down and get on with his career. And today's news is tomorrow's chip paper.
Yeah. I suppose this brings David back into the fold. There was a whole David and Fabio thing, and then that kind of fizzled out for a little bit, and then we got Fabio and Frazer thing, but nothing like a big domestic heavyweight dust up. So let's reignite the Fabio Wardley, David Adelaide thing and get that.
Listen, any combination of those heavyweights going at it is just banging. I think we know that as well. I don't know what's going to happen with David Adelaide. I know that he would fight both, and he'll be licking his lips watching this whole thing unfold, and I'm sure he'll be waiting on a letter from the board.
Quick one on John Ryder's performance against Canelo at the weekend. Obviously didn't come out on top. Praise for a valiant performance, especially after getting dropped heavy. Just kind of your take on John's performance in Mexico.
Look, I'm a big John Ryder fan. Met him around the whole Canelo, the Zach Parker fight, and he's just a great guy. And I really wanted him to win. I really, really wanted him to win. And look, he put on a valiant performance. He's done everyone proud here in the UK, and it probably never looked like he was going to win the fight, but he fought back very, very well, and that's what we like. That's what we like to see. Some fighters go in there with Canelo, they're beaten before the first bell, or they're beaten after they take the first shot, they cover up and they just try and see it through. They even ask Canelo, and this thing I can't get over what Caleb Plant did in the fight, where he started asking him if he was any good. Like that's an amazing thing. How often do you see that happen in a fight? But John Ryder never stopped to ask for Canelo's praise. He kept punching back, and he ended the fight stronger than Canelo did. So he can take a lot from that, and his stock goes right up. If I'm David Benavides, if I'm one of the Charlos, I'm looking at him and thinking, let me see if I can get him in the ring and get him out of there like Canelo didn't, so I can build my case for a Canelo fight. He's in a great position.
On Joe Joyce, I know Umar done his first interview since the Zhang defeat yesterday. We know we are going to see the rematch now. Right choice, in your opinion, from Joe?
It's his choice. If he thinks he can correct it all, then fair play to him. It shows the real warrior in him, by the way, because, yeah, I mean, Zhang was brilliant, and Zhang seemed to have everything that Joe Joyce couldn't cope with. Zhang was able to look Joe Joyce in the eye at the weigh-in. You don't see that happen very often. Zhang was able to land freely. A lot of fighters do on Joe Joyce, but Zhang was able to push Joe Joyce back. When it got in close, he was able to shrug him off, and he was able to land frequently and hard. And Joe Joyce was unable to juggernaut him. So maybe a heavier Joe Joyce with a better game plan, better southpaw sparring in the build-up. Maybe he can get the job done. But fair play to him for taking it on.
Is it one of them fights that you kind of look at from the outside, and despite the manner of the defeat, do you kind of look at that and think, I can see a method that Joe wins the fight? Like, because I kind of look at it in the sense that there is a way Joe can win. I don't look at it as a fight and think, it doesn't matter what Joe does, he's never winning that.
No, because he was coming on. That's the thing. It wasn't like he was dropped and he was all over the place kind of thing. In terms of the kind of the way the fight was going, Zhang was just starting to go a little bit more on the back foot, perhaps starting to tire a little bit, and we know that Joe Joyce doesn't tire. So I would love to have seen that round 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with a, he hasn't got a gammy eye kind of thing, but Zhang did his job. He mucked up the eye badly, and if Joe Joyce gets his eye hurt again, it will be the same outcome, but he needs to avoid all those southpaw backhands and combination shots Zhang was just having fun with.
There's a bit of me still kind of disappointed that we might not get to see Zhang and Tyson.
Look, I don't know, mate. I don't know what's going to... You never know in boxing. You just never know. That's a great fight. I want to go to China at some point. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You never know.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 17, 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,